Hello, and welcome to the Spokane County Spotlight. I'm Commissioner Mary Cuney, and my guest today is Fawn Schott, CEO of Volunteers of America, Eastern Washington and North Idaho. Fawn, welcome to today's program.
Thank you so much, County Commissioner, for having me. Appreciate that.
It's my pleasure. I'm really excited to start our conversation about the important work that VOA is doing in our community. But before we do that, can you give me a brief introduction about yourselves?
Sure. I was born and raised in Carnation, Washington, so always a Washingtonian. Went to college at WSU where I met my husband, and we've been married 27 years, and we have two kids, Madeline, who's 22, and Gabe, who's 19. And I've been in this position here at Volunteers of America for the last 6 years, and in homeless services for 11.
Very good. And homeless services is a very important piece in our community. So I just want to say thank you so much for all the work that you're doing.
Of course, it's my pleasure, and I will be honest, I do the least hard part of the work. It's the people on the lines that run the shelters and help people through their mental health and journey and taking their next steps. But it's wonderful work, and I get to work with really amazing people.
So when you graduated from college, did you think that you were going to go into this line of work?
I did not. I started my career as a teacher, and then my husband and I started a small business, and I just felt like I needed to give back, and I wasn't filling my soul, and so I wanted to serve but didn't want to teach anymore. So I ended up taking a job running some youth programs and became the general manager at Goodwill and helped start their first rapid rehousing program for homeless veterans in our community. And at that point was the one time that I realized when we started moving vets out of the woods and into apartments and into homes, the realization of what that front door key meant to them. And I started to recognize how critical front door keys were for people to be successful. Without that front door key, you're not safe, you can't dream, you can't achieve goals that you're trying to achieve. And it's really hard to engage in employment or education and really attain those high-level goals. It's just survival on the streets or in the woods. So that front door key was really that anchor for me that made me realize that I wanted to really commit to helping people get front door keys for the rest of my career. So that's how I landed and why I stay here.
Wow, that's an awesome story, and again, appreciate it greatly. So with Volunteers of America, it is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to helping those in need to rebuild their lives and reach their full potential. Can you give our audience an overview of VOA's mission and reach in the United States?
Yeah, so we have 30 affiliates across the nation, including DC and Puerto Rico. And we are all really focused on whatever the community need is within that. So we all look a little bit different. We always say if you've been to VOA Spokane, don't expect to see the same thing in Kentucky. So many of us, we are one of the largest low-income and affordable housing providers across the nation collectively. And we do, we're very rooted in veteran services, mental health and substance use services, and also long-term care and aging those are our biggest portfolios across the community. So we're one of the few affiliates that do shelters here locally, and at our affiliate, we've really focused our mission on shelters and for women and young people, and then housing for folks coming straight off the street.
Interesting. So across the nation, each community looks at it differently. Okay, and so then let's take a look here in Spokane County to see here in Spokane and North Idaho, how does VOA look differently?
So we have embedded our mission all around housing. And the first step to housing is to get safe shelter. So we have 3 shelters. We also operate a little over 400 apartments for individuals coming off the street, some of them as young as 18 and some of them as old as 70. So varying needs in between. most of our all of our individuals have experienced homelessness. We have a strong wraparound support of mental health services because nearly all of our individuals are experiencing severe mental health or needing to maintain healthy mental health, and also wraparound substance use. So we've been really layered on within our housing model a mental health clinic that really addresses mental health, substance use, and goal setting and casework in people's units, and then embedding it also into our shelters.
So before we kind of get started on some of the specific, shelters that you have, just give us a brief overview of the 3 shelters that you do have.
So we operate a women's shelter called Hope House Women's Shelter. It's for single women age 18 and over. We have a young adult shelter, which was opened in 2021, very much with the support of the county commissioners to help purchase that building. And that serves young people 18 to 24 that have really shouldn't be embedded in an adult shelter and really need that youth-centered focus. And then we also run Crosswalk Teen Shelter, and that's a youth shelter for young people aged 13 to 17 overnight and up to 20 during the day.
Okay. So with that, can you give us some more details then on the important work that is being done at Hope House and talk a little bit more about Hope House?
Yeah, in 2020, we built our new building. We expanded from 32 beds to 80 emergency shelter beds and 20 respite beds that we contract with different organizations in the community. And that is all for single women experiencing homelessness. It's a night-by-night, low-barrier shelter, meaning we want women to be inside and safe with us. And so if they're having barriers like mental health or if they're substance using, of course they can't do it on site, but we would rather them come inside and be safe where we can have a conversation to help address some of those and get them resources and help that they may need versus on the street. We are a 24/7 shelter. We run 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We have 3 meals a day. We have recently embedded recovery groups. Lots of different organizations come in. We have a church service that comes in and does church on Sunday. So any community volunteer or group that wants to come in. We used to have someone come in and play bingo with the ladies on Friday. So that is just a full scale of socialization, also case management and housing specialists. So we have embedded teams that help people figure out why are you homeless? What barriers are you having to get housing, and how might we help you get there? So we are very intentional about being a housing-focused shelter. We want every woman to have the shortest stay possible at the shelter and actually move into housing of their own relatively quickly, and that looks different for every woman. It could be that they move to a Section 8 voucher or to one of our other housing programs. It could be that 2 or 3 of them are friends and can pool money and do a roommate at a market rate unit. So we're very creative about how can we get people out of the shelter as fast as possible. And about 60% of our women that stay there are actively fleeing domestic violence. So it's really important for us to wrap not only housing, but also supports to help mitigate the trauma that they've experienced from being homeless on the street.
And having taken a tour of Hope House, you have different levels within Hope House. So as women are starting to transition, they can learn the skills to be out on their own.
Right. So that's part of the case management roles within VOA is making sure that everybody has a case plan, that they're stepping forward, that they're achieving their goals. So we really do intentional case planning. So the women that we're working with can see that they've achieved each step and that each of those steps grow and they get excited and energized by what they've been able to achieve. And that strength and resiliency really helps move them forward.
Awesome. So then, you were just talking about the young adult shelter. So if you could share with us then the services that are being provided with VOA's young adult shelter.
Our young adult shelter is really modeled very closely to Hope House, except for it serves a unique population of young people 18 to 24. It does serve both young men and young women in the same building. We find oftentimes that young people have partners that they won't, if they're male and a female, they won't leave one another, even though they're experiencing homelessness and sleeping under a bridge. So that was one of, when we did some assessment of and conversations with our young people in our community, that was one of the things that they wanted to be able to remain together. Everybody has their own bed, individual of one another, but they can at least be in the same space together. And that was really an important factor for us. We have 44 beds for those young people, and we work on the same things. Family reconciliation is one of the anchors that we have there with the young people, because we want them to be either connected back to family if they can be, or just build those natural supports so that when they leave us, they have someone else in the community to lean on. Education is definitely a key component for us, for that population, education and employment. That's part of the reason we chose the location we did, which is right almost kitty corner from Spokane Community College. Super important for those young people to see a path forward for them that is really a livable wage job. And without education and that certificate program or even that AA, it's really hard to lift themselves out of homelessness. So that is one of the key outcome results that our case workers are working with our young people in that shelter. And we're just now getting ready to start the rehab on that building, so we're very excited about that.
No, I think that's one of the exciting things as a county commissioner, kind of knowing that the grant was coming into Spokane County and how, working with the cities, coming together to, get extra dollars as with the City of Spokane Valley and Spokane County working together, so we could get those for you, because we did know that this is such a vulnerable group, that 18 to 24, these are kids that are coming out of the foster care system that some of them have nowhere to go, and aren't comfortable in those adult shelters. So, so very excited that VOA wanted to take that on and help us. And then with the location being, right by the community college, so those young adults can get the education that they want, and I know you're great about helping them follow their passion.
Well, and nobody wants to be homeless. Certainly young people, they don't envision themselves in that to be their life. And so one of the challenges with putting them in an adult shelter is they're young, they're 18, 19 years old, and they're with 30, 40, 50-year-olds who have been a lifelong of homelessness, and then they just see their life that way, right? And so they wanted to be in a place where it was people their own age, where they could start to see their lives differently and have opportunity to have it look different. So this is a place that they can do that.
No, thank you. I think that's, we're very excited to see that come to fruition and see the new building.
Well, and thank you to the commissioners for helping make that happen.
So our pleasure. So VOA also operates a shelter called Crosswalk. And I know that there's been a lot of developments with Crosswalk in the last year. It would be wonderful if you can give us some insight and information about that program.
Yeah, Crosswalk is our longest standing shelter. It is a youth shelter. It's licensed in the state of Washington, and it serves young people 13 to 17 overnight and up to 20 during the day. This is a place where homeless teens that have literally nowhere else to go have a landing pad. And it's really unique in that we have built Crosswalk to be everything really that a young person would need if they were living at home, right? Plus more. So it has a GED completion program embedded within the structures and confines so that these young people actually can go to school, because school coming back and forth when you're homeless is in a typical school setting is very challenging. So they're incredibly successful. We're so thrilled. We had 9 graduate just last month, and every month we just see more and more coming and finishing their GED, which is that first step to exiting homelessness forever. We also have visiting nurses that come and help these young people address their medical needs. We have on-site embedded staff to do mental health and also substance use, so we can really have, if there's a mental health crisis, they don't have to go out site. We have a mental health provider that knows them, knows who they are, knows their challenges, can address crisis as they come up right in the moment. That's been incredibly successful. We've seen a huge reduction in at-risk behaviors by embedding that. And so we are layered in the core of downtown, which is not an ideal space for young people. When we sat down with them about 4 years ago and said, does Crosswalk meet your needs? The answer they said was, it gives us everything we need except for downtown, and we're not safe here. We want to be in a place where every kid is, in a neighborhood, have a great place to go to school, be able to walk outside and not be solicited, and not have risks just handed to us. So we were on a mission to move Crosswalk out of downtown. And we were lucky enough to have a private donor come in and help us match some state funds. And we purchased land across the street from the young adult shelter and kitty corner to Spokane Community College. So those young people, again, can look out the door, see that college, walk across the street, and go to school. We're very excited to have all of the robust services that we have at Crosswalk on the Night by Night shelter, just in an expanded form, in a safe neighborhood, outdoor space, parks, a place to go to school that's designated with classrooms, dining areas, lots of places to learn independent living. And then the second floor is a huge addition, and it's going to be really college dorms for young people 16 to 20 that are embedded in a school program where they can just know that that's their space to be. Staff will be on site for them all the time, just like you would if you went to college with a resident manager, where they can learn independent living skills, focus on their studies, graduate, and then never need us again, and be engaged in our community and employed and really thriving.
Well, I think that's going to be awesome. And so have you finished all the capital contribution that you need for that?
We are buttoning up our last right now. So we are applying for the last of our funds now. We're very optimistic that we'll be able to start construction on that probably within the next year.
So I think that's going to be really exciting.
Yeah.
And how many young people will be served at that location then?
So we'll have 20 emergency shelter beds on the ground floor and 40 college dorms. And that'll serve foster youth as well as just homeless youth.
No, and we know it's such a problem. I know, OSPI's report, that the number of kids that are couch surfing that are in high school is way more than anyone thinks. So it's definitely a needed population to be serving. So
definitely, it's a neat addition.
Yeah, no, very excited. So then, what is your perspective as we look at other things in our community with homelessness? What is your perspective on how we can get some of the people at Camp Hope connected with services that they need? And what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think Camp Hope has brought something to light in our community, and that we have a lot more homeless than we recognize, right? And they're all in one place. And it's really challenging to have that many people in one place without services wrapped around them, right? So I think the benefit that we have, and what we've done really well in Spokane, is by layering on shelters with those wraparound support services. Like Catholic Charities and House of Charity have the same model, case managers on site. We are really working on how do we move you to housing. Same thing with Hope House and the young adult shelter. Crosswalk works on family reconciliation or the next step on their 18th birthday. But without those services and just having people just camp in a location, it just is a really what a hard place to have somebody live. And how do we keep people healthy and thriving in a tent, right? Our weather's extreme in Spokane. We are a compassionate city. We care that people have a roof over their head, keys, front door keys, like I talked about, and that access to thrive in the community. And that's not we have set up there at Camp Hope. And I just hope that we can get to a place where we can help people move to shelter, or if because of their trauma and their experiences, that's not the best shelter, maybe we can be innovative and creative about what might be some different shelter options for individuals that still have that wraparound support services that help people move from a temporary shelter location or transitional housing shelter to a permanent housing, because that's when people thrive. And that's what we want for every human in our community.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thank you. Now, if someone needs access to your services, how would they access Hope House or Crosswalk?
Yeah, so on our website is all of our phone numbers. Of course, that's a good way. Just call the shelter if you want to know if we have room. Really, there's almost always, we will find room at Crosswalk and also the young adult shelter. Hope House we are still finding, even with the expansion, that we're full almost every night. So we do tell women to call ahead, and we can put you on the wait list, at least get your name on the list, or you can just come to the shelter and we can put you on the list or walk you through what the steps are.
Which is just disheartening that, the need is that great.
The need is,
especially with your expansion, so.
And part of the reason that we're seeing that increased need is the cost in housing prices, right? We recognize that people have been, and when we ask these questions of our ladies at Hope House, many of them are first-time homeless, and it's because they've not been able to keep up with the rising rents. They're on a fixed income, or they're on a limited income, and they don't have enough to be able to make that gap that we have in our community right now.
Wow. Well, recently the Spokane County Board of Commissioners approved the execution of an agreement with Volunteers of America to provide funding for the Homeward Bound project. Can you give us an overview of that project and some details on how that's working?
Yeah, we're really excited about this. We find, especially serving young people and women, we're the biggest population. When you hear the story of folks coming into our community, it's oftentimes young people and women because they're fleeing violence. So the Homeward Bound grant is great because it allows folks who have gotten here and then find that they don't have the connection point that they thought they did, or the job that they were coming to, or the supports that they need, the ability to go back to the location where they do have supports, or to another location where they do. So it's open to anyone who's working with a provider, any of our community providers in Spokane. The provider can fill out, identify where they're going, verify they have a safe place and a connection point to wherever that is, and we will purchase the bus ticket or the gas card or whatever we need to do to help that person get back to their safe community.
No, we were really excited for that program, and I think it's going to be great.
Agreed.
One thing that I wanted to ask you a little bit is if people want to volunteer, or I know you've got some great fundraisers that come up, but where would they access that?
Yes, on our website, there's a whole tab on how to volunteer. We love volunteers. We love people engaging. You could come play bingo with the ladies on Friday night, or teach an art class at the shelter, or provide a meal. We just love that, and our folks that are in our programs love it when our community members come and engage and share with their special talent with them. So just check out our website, and Anna, our volunteer coordinator, will certainly reach out to them. And I invite everybody to join our September 22nd Eye Contact event. That is an amazing, fun event at the Cracker Building. We do an art display, 20 years of art that the young people did for therapy, and we have live art and exhibits and a great silent auction, and just a wonderful time.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I know any event that I've been to is a very fun event at VOA. So you are responsible for a lot of really important work in our community. And so what does motivate you every day to get out of bed and do this type of work?
Well, I honestly, front door keys. ensuring that people have opportunity to have that front door key, safe roof and walls to be able to thrive. To me, that is everything. And the second thing is, we have the most incredible community that really does care about its people and care about the work that we do. So I always feel so supported when I call someone and ask for help or tell them what we need, everybody shows up. And then thirdly is our amazing staff that just show up every day to help people change their life journey. And that's just a really special place to work.
No, that's, and as you talk about the team that surrounds you, I mean, that's so important in a environment where it's hard to find people to work. And this is something that, you know, isn't high-paying jobs, but you're really helping change people's lives. So, I mean, that's just so impressive and awesome. And I remember getting the key with the lifesaver, you know, that having that front door key is a lifesaver for these people. So,
Sure is.
So congratulations on all those keys that you give out to people.
Thank you.
So in our last few minutes, are there any other messages that you would like to share with our audience in our closing moments?
I think it's just really important to recognize that, and the feelings are okay, that it's hard to see someone suffering on the street. It hurts us as humans to see that, right? And that's a normal feeling. It means that you care deeply and that you want to not see that. And I also think it's important to recognize when we bring the right supports to people, people can change, they can get off the streets, they can thrive and grow. We have many people that went through our programs that now work for us that are helping lift people every day. The strength and resiliency of the people experiencing homelessness on our streets, what they have to do to survive every day can translate into a new life, and it does. It does every day when we give them the right supports and we wrap the resources that they need around them in a way that they can accept them. So I think we have a lot of work to do in our community, but I also think we're in a good spot to do it, and I'm excited to watch the journey of folks to change their lives and get out of homelessness and making sure that we have safe and healthy communities.
I just have to say thank you. I mean, I think our audience today can see the passion that you have for this work and that all the great that you're doing for our communities. So, you know, thank you so much for that. I know that, you know, I enjoyed our discussion today, and I think our viewers have too, but I'm afraid we're going to run out of time. So I want to thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you, Commissioner Cooney.
As a reminder, a video of today's Spotlight can be accessed on our Spokane County homepage and our Spokane County YouTube channel. I'm County Commissioner Mary Cooney. Thank you for joining us today on the Spokane County Spotlight.